Good day, everyone. This is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and here at DDO Players. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculetta.
Hey, everybody. How's it going tonight?
Hello, Draculetta. And what's exciting this week?
Update 29 news.
Ooh, that's right. And they have announced that the new feats that will be brought out in Update 29, and I presume these are new feats for those ultra-high-level players.
It is all new feat stuff, and I am going to put this caveat out here right now. We are just going to briefly touch on this. If you want to read the whole thing, head over in the threads that are on the forums. There is a lot of discussion with a lot of players and devs over this. Basically, what it boils down to is at level 29, you're going to get your third Epic Destiny feat. It's going to be like the one that you get at level 28, where you can pick from any of the previous Epic Destiny feats that you qualify for. And then at level 30, you will get a standard feat slot per the normal feat progression. There's also going to be a change to the level cap increase and its related feats, and some new general feats are being added into the lower epic levels to provide additional choices for players. And as I said, there is a thread that lists what the proposed changes are. And once again, keep in mind, this is all early talk, so nothing is set in stone yet. They're still getting feedback from players in the thread and over on the Mania threads, as the first Update 29 was on the Mania this weekend, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and they're getting feedback on that. So make sure that you are checking the forums for Update 29 stuff, because they're slowly releasing information and wanting players' feedback.
And they also have released the class features that you'll be getting at levels 29 and 30, including things like feat slots, and also a little change in the epic level leveling curve.
Kind of hinted that this was coming, and there was a lot of people that had asked, people that were getting ready to, like, if they wanted to do like a TR, they wanted to know, when should I do it? How much, experience are we going to need? So they laid out the level requirements. What it's going to boil down to is, for level 29, which will be the first new level, because of course our cap right now is at 28, you will need, what is it? I lost my place on the page.
7,425,000?
Yes, thank you. My page scrolled up for some reason. My mouse decided it wanted to scroll. 29, you will need, as Pineleaf said, 7,425,000. Currently, it is 8,100,000. So you can see it's changing a little bit. And then for level 30, 8,250,000. Some slight changes. People didn't seem to be too overly all upset about this. There was some people that was complaining, and really, I don't quite understand why people were complaining about the XP change.
All right, here's my question, though.
Okay.
Let's say you're level 22. The update hits.
Okay.
And according to this, then, if that's the old requirement for level 22 is lower than the new requirement for level 21.
Correct. It's going to take you... Ooh, I see what you're saying. I'm not sure how that's... Now I see the point of your question, and I'm not sure how that's going to work. Apparently, if you're... I would guess, and once again, this is a guess, that if you're at the new or the old... Well, no, I don't know how that would work.
All right.
You just blew my mind with that question.
You blew your mind with that one. All right.
So yes, and that does bring up the fact too that starting at level 21, the requirements are going to be higher once the update hits to get experience.
Right, and at 28 they'll be the same, and at 29 and 30 they'll be less than they would have been if they had maintained the current curve.
And they did say that they had some more information on this that they are going to be sharing in the near future. The big thing is either keep an eye on our site or keep an eye on the forums, because the devs are, I know, doing a lot of posting about 29 stuff on the forums and in the Lamania forums.
All right, very well. Then let's head on to a price change in the Veil of Twilight.
Tolero made a post over in the store sales and promotions thread of the forum. She said, "Good evening. We wanted to give folks a little heads up about an upcoming price change for an adventure pack. In Update 29, the Veil is getting spruced up with legendary, in quotes, content, in addition to its standard heroic content, including the legendary green steel. The price of the adventure pack will be changing as a result of this change. As of Update 29, the Veil of Twilight pack will be 995 turbine points in the DDO store. Anyone who would like to purchase the Veil at its old price would be able to do that between now and Update 29 launch day. So if you have not bought in the Veil of Twilight, and I should have looked to see what it is, I want to say it's 750 now, I think, or 795. It's somewhere around in there.
All right. So this is the traditional thing, because I remember back in Three Barrel Cove, they did the same.
Yes, yep. And
thing.
I was going to bring that up. This happened with Three Barrel Cove, so this is not too big of a shock. I don't remember them when they did do the epic Three Barrel Cove. I can't recall if they told us there was going to be a price change then, though, or not. They might have it. I just don't recall it. So it's kind of nuts of them to say, hey, the price is going to go up on this, so if you want to get it now at the cheaper price, do it before the update comes out.
All right. Yeah, I do remember them having an advanced announcement on Three Barrel Cove.
Okay. I just don't remember then. So, yep.
All right. As for the Tempest Spine, though, that is going to remain free. So I guess they're doubling the price from 0 to 0.
It is now free. It's always been free. Free is good. Finally, free is good.
Okay, free is good. All right. All right, then let's head into Update 29, which was on Lamania. And did you go into Lamania in order to play this?
I did not. I was kind of busy over the weekend, so I didn't get a chance to check this out.
Well,
of course,
it doesn't look like much was there for anyone your level anyway.
Right. No,
that's right. You're level 21 now.
I am 21, so I could have... Well, and of course, on Lamania, you can go into the dojo and automatically level 2, but... So I'm assuming, and I know Cordovan, when he was on, he did state that there will be a couple more betas on the Mania. So I doubt it'll be up this weekend, since it's Thanksgiving weekends here in the States. They might put it up. I don't know.
I did see in the release notes where they do have an answer for this. It says, note, existing characters will not lose experience nor levels. However, characters will need to reach the new level thresholds in order to level, similar to the process done when they raised the level cap from 18 to 20. The experience table is now la 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 la. So, that question was answered. We can then go into the DDO Chronicle, issue 167. And it looks like we've got a ringleader kobold here.
With his fancy little monocle and top hat.
Yeah.
In the community spotlight section, there is a player by the name of Nibel, I'm going to say. He is keeping a campaign diary of the edition that shall not be named game he's running, which he is making it take place in DDO Quest. So click over and read that. I kind of skimmed it. More power to him for using that edition that should not be named. I would have done it in 5th edition if it was myself, but hey, good on you, sir, for doing it. It looked pretty interesting.
Better than you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It did look pretty interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on this. It was an interesting read, but yeah, it's that edition that should not be named. If you want to see the strangest group of permadeathers ever, watch DDO Kasplat. That is all I'll say about that.
The strangest group.
Have a fun time. And Perkiosaurus in the chat, I am disappointed in you, sir. He is saying that is the best edition. Disappointed in you, sir. So yes, check out DDO Kasplat to see interesting permadeath style.
Well, what edition is the best one?
The edition that should not be named.
No, you mean the one that doesn't even... I thought that went to a black hole and never existed.
In some people's world, it exists.
Oh, okay.
In my world, it does not exist. The second annual Galanda holiday event will arrive soon. So if you're on Galanda, click over in the forums to see how you can take part in this Secret Santa-style gift exchange, which is awesome to see players doing little gift exchanges like that in-game. Fansite news. DDO Cast had their episode 406, which took a look at seasonal events. click to give that a watch or a listen and hear me ramble on about seasonal events, because I ended up on that show and I found out I was going to be on there like 5 minutes before we went on the air. So
Surprise!
interesting. Yeah, exactly. So
Did they ambush all the people on that episode?
there was one other person that got ambushed with me. Yeah. There was some people that he had this whole thing lined up, and one person had like a personal thing that happened, and another person was having internet problems. So instead of just scrapping the show, he looked to see who was online that he could grab, and he's like, "Hey, come do the podcast with me, like right now." So that happened. Of course, we were joined last week by Cordovan. We talked about Update 29, more Movember, and more. Click to listen to our episode for that. Damsels the DDO took a little detour on the high road. Click over to hear what the damsels have to say about that. And DDO Gamer checks in with his Fey Buckler, which is now hit level cap. Current level cap, I should say. And finally, in the fansite news section, the Shady Rogues struggle in the Stones Run Red. So click over to watch the Shady Rogues.
The Shady Rogues struggle?
Yeah, imagine the Shady Rogues struggling. That never happened.
Yes.
And that's it for Chronicle this week.
Right, and the screenshot there is a rather less than secure vault at the 12.
That place is very unsecure, because I run that every day. That's actually part of the new Devil's Gambit line. That's in the Subversion quest. And yeah, there's all sorts of things running around in there. They need to look at their security there at the 12.
And then once they get secure, maybe they could run a sale. Speaking of sales...
That was a stretch, finally, but
yeah, I know,
I'll take it. 35% off True Hearts of Wood, Lesser Hearts of Wood, Quest XP Elixirs, healing items, and the Spell Point Potions. All at 35% off in the DDO store. The free sample of the week through the 26th is the Bell of Opening. Use the coupon code, which can be found on our site in the show notes. And I'll add here, too, that probably, I'm going to guess, Wednesday, to keep an eye on our site, because we will be announcing anything they are going to do for Black Friday. They always run some Black Friday sales. And I'm sure this year will be no different. And that will probably come out, I would say, mid-morning on Wednesday, maybe. I'm not exactly sure when they're going to announce it, but we'll be sure to post about it.
All right, now I have a question. Is there any way to get a hireling to drink a potion?
Not that I'm aware of, no. That would be nice.
All right. I was just wondering about, because sometimes a spell point potion would be a wonderful
Yeah, that would be wonderful for a couple of the clerics that I usually run with.
Yes. Because they're going around wasting spell points like crazy. All right, let's go to the site news, and we'll begin with DDO Players News, special number 4, a chat with the executive producer. Wow.
Yes, it was a fun time. I had Saba Jade along with me, and we sat down with the executive producer, Sutherland, and community manager, Cordovan, and just threw out some questions that we got from our site, from us, and also from the forums, and I was actually surprised at how open they were with some of their answers. And we got a major hint about the next classic module, too. And I even told them I started the interview out with an easy softball question that I knew they weren't going to be able to answer. And lo and behold, Severlin gave us a huge hint about the next module that's going to come out.
Ooh, what's that?
He said they have it prepared. They are just waiting for the final thumbs up from Wizards about it. But it should take place around Halloween next year, and it will fit in with the season.
All right. So something a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps maybe involving a vampire.
Possibly. Could be.
Maybe.
We'll talk about that more later. There's more creed to that possible answer, which we'll talk about later. But right. We talked about a lot of stuff. It actually went a little longer than they originally said that they had time for, but they were having such a good time. Sutherland said, we can keep going. I have some more time. So we asked as many questions as we could, and I apologize if you put some questions up on the forum. If I did not get to them, we just totally ran out of time, but I do plan on sitting down with Sutherland again at some point in the future. So we will try to get the questions that we didn't get asked next time.
Then let's head into a monster a day, since we know that a monster a day keeps the dungeon master away.
Well, you would hope not. Well,
Yeah.
maybe some players might like that.
Yeah.
But yes, this of course is for 5th edition. There is a subreddit called Monster a Day. Amazing name for a subreddit. That its whole purpose in life is people create new monsters to use in your 5th edition home game. So it is a homebrew. These, of course, are not officially sanctioned. They follow all of the 5e rules, though, and they release one a day, hence the name Monster a Day. But what they decided to do is release a PDF of all of the monsters that they have done so far. And there are a ton of them. The PDF is 102 pages so far of just all of the different monsters with stat blocks and everything. And it's actually designed to look like the official monster manual. So if you would get this PDF and print it out, and if you would print it out on, like, say, some like high gloss paper, it would look like this was an official product. It is for a homebrew project. I have to say this is one of the best ones I've ever seen. They took the time to do some nice artwork and some nice layout on it. So good job to the people over at the Monster a Day subreddit for taking on this task. And I was flipping through this PDF, and I'm actually seeing a couple monsters I think I'm going to start heading into my home games. Because they have...
I noticed there, yes, a fusion elemental is.
And of course, there is the ginormous squirrel.
Oh, yes.
Fear
Don't
of the
want to fool with the
ginormous
ginormous squirrel.
But yeah, go ahead and grab that PDF. And they are updating the PDF as they add new monsters, because they are still adding new monsters over on the subreddit. So the PDF tends to run a couple days behind. So if you happen to check the subreddit and you see the new monster of the day and it's not updated in the PDF, if you wait about a day, it will get added to the PDF. So they're constantly updating that as well. So check it out if you want some new monsters to throw at your players in 5e.
All right, then. Then let's play Dungeons & Dragons in virtual reality. That sounds scary enough.
It does sound scary, and this whole thing is... I don't know. I'm kind of like... I don't know why you would want to do this. And we're not talking about a video game here. We're talking about actually playing Dungeons & Dragons pen and paper in a virtual reality environment. So why you would want to do this, I don't know.
Oh, you mean you're not seeing the monsters, you're seeing the map?
Correct. You're seeing it. It would just be like you were sitting at a table playing with people. You're going to see the table. You're going to see your the dice. You're going to see your minis moving around. You're going to see the dungeon tiles. But you're seeing it all in virtual reality, so you have to have like an Oculus Rift or any of the other various VR devices that are either on the market or soon coming to the market. And people design that, and I've watched the video. It looks okay, but I don't get this. I don't know why you would want to do this. I'm not seeing the point of doing this, but I guess it's to show you what virtual reality can do. You can click over on our site on our article I did for this and like watch the demo video to kind of get a feel for it. It's just weird to me. This whole thing is weird. And Gumsgang in the chat is saying it depends on who the people are that you're playing with virtual reality, which I suppose that would be true. I don't know. But yeah, this is done by a company called AltSpace VR. They're the ones that put this together, and they're actually getting help from Wizards of the Coast.
Okay.
So it is officially sanctioned by Wizards, and the brand director, Nathan Stewart, says, AltSpace VR bridges the gap between Dungeons & Dragons video games and physically sitting around a table with friends. You get the same sense of excitement and drama in the AltSpace VR Tavern, from lapping with your buddy's funny goblin voice to watching the D20 bounce and finally land on that natural 20 you need to hit that beholder, terrorizing your party. So if you ever wanted to play Dungeons & Dragons with your friends, but I guess your friends aren't near you and you don't like the online tabletop options that are out there, and you all have Oculus Rifts, you can play for real in VR.
Okay.
It's just weird. I'm sorry. This whole thing is weird to me. I mean, from a geek tech perspective, it's cool that they're doing this. but it's weird to me to play D&D tabletop like this, where you're actually playing tabletop in a virtual reality. It's just mind-blowingly weird to me. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just bizarre.
All right, then. Let's get into our week in DDO. And what were you up to?
So are you just skipping the most important 5e news that came out this week?
What? Oh.
You're just
totally somehow
I
don't know how I missed that. Oh, yes, of course.
I thought you were saying
I guess it was just so obvious that I thought it was done. Yes, let's go back there. And Draculetta has a question for us all, and that is
Ravenloft coming to 5th edition?
Ooh.
And the reason why I asked that is a few weeks ago there was the Gamehole Con number 3 took place. Everyone's favorite dungeon master, Chris Perkins, was there, and he held a seminar where he talked about a bunch of 5e topics. The whole interview is well worth listening to. But there was one little section of the interview, it probably took about 10 minutes out of the interview, that I found most interesting. The folks over at the Gaming and BS podcast did record this and released it so we could all listen to it. And there was a question from the audience about some upcoming storylines. And Chris Perkins gave, the standard PR speak answer here. He said, I can't talk about specific storylines that we're working on presently. At this time, we're working on 4. We've got 2 stories to tell next year, and then we've got 2 more stories in fairly developed states, and we don't know necessarily when they're going to appear. So that's your standard PR answer, non-answer. But then he goes on to say, on the next storyline, that's a tough one to answer. To a certain extent, obtusively, I've already answered it with 3 things I've called attention to. 1 could speculate, based on what I've told you, what might happen. We do have an upcoming story that does go back to a past adventure. It doesn't feature dragons, so it won't be anything from the Dragonlance saga. And I think it's safe to say, if you look at a lot of things we haven't played with yet, which are fairly intrinsic to D&D. So then, a little bit later in the interview, he asked the audience to call out some classic D&D monsters. And of course, somebody from the audience shouted out, vampire. And Chris Perkins said, yes, the vampire has been around in D&D. It's not a unique D&D monster by any stretch. But we would be remiss if we didn't do something with vampires at some point. I can almost assure you that we will get around to doing that. Certainly Gothic and Victorian and that sort of feel. The question is all about timing. When is the time to do it? When is it going to get surprise and delight to the most people? So right away I'm thinking Ravenloft, right? And then later on, he kind of kept going back to this, which is another reason why I think. He said, there's another thing about our stories. It's that we don't want to be predictable. In fact, we've even changed our release plans so we didn't even tell people. 5 years ago, Wizards would tell people a year in advance what products we were releasing. Now we just don't do it until literally months before it comes out. Part of that is simply shock and awe. Because we've evaluated how long we can keep people's excitement. And that turns out we can't keep folks excited for over a year. And then at the end of that little statement, he said, so yeah, vampire, classic monster, we'll definitely do a story with vampire. And then after he said that, somebody shouted out giants, and he said, yeah, we'll do a story with giants too. So out of that, I'm saying Ravenloft is coming to 5e, and Against the Giants storyline is coming to 5e.
All right, and then that, of course, works well with the possibility of Ravenloft coming to DDO because of the tie-ins that we often have.
Yep, and that's the first thing I thought of too. So we'll see. And we also have a poll up on our site if you haven't seen it yet. I know we have done this poll before, but since Severling kind of said that, and since Chris Perkins said this, I put this poll back up, and the poll on our site right now, which will run till next Monday. So we'll talk about the results next week's show, is which classic D&D module is next for DDO. So go ahead over and vote. And I listed a bunch of the quote-unquote horror-themed ones I could think of. If there's something I didn't think of, go ahead and put in another and leave us a comment. But I guess we'll see what happens. And another thing about this interview that I was excited to hear is somebody asked him about D&D based video games, and he actually mentions Turbine and Dungeons and Dragons Online. Which I think is the first time in I don't know how long I have heard anybody from Wizards even mention the fact that we even exist. So that was pretty exciting.
Now, can we go into our week for DDO?
We can.
All right. What did you do then?
I'm just all excited about
Strahd
YB. This week, my Shader guy reached level 18. Also, about the same time I reached level 18, my guild reached level 19. Doing so, of course, I was running the Devil's Gambit, no drops, wah, wah, wah. My Warlock, I dusted that off and played that a little. I haven't played her for a long time. She is still level 9, reached 400 favor. I was running some House Kandaric quest, still running everything on Elite. That is my goal that I'm having with my Warlock. I'm doing everything on Elite until I absolutely positively can't do it. I keep dying so much that it's not fun anymore. So far, not happening. The only time I die with my Warlock right now is if I'm stupid with some traps. Traps do tend to kill me, but if I pay attention to the traps and get around them somehow, avoid them, I'm fine. But I'm doing House Kandaric stuff. I did the Lair of Summoning and the Ruined Halls. So it's been a long time since I did the House K quest, and I kind of remember that I like those quests. And I always forget about them because I usually don't ever run them until I'm of that level, and then I forget about them. So go back and run the House K quest, people. They're fun. Then last night, I was on, actually when I was doing my Warlock, I seen my friend came online, who was also in my guild, and we were kind of talking in guild chat, and he said, I have never done the Waterworks. I think I'm going to run the Waterworks. Because I always hear Pineleaf talking about him, because he always runs all the Waterworks stuff on his primitive characters. And I said, hey, I'll bring my Druid on, because I'm about the same level, which I'm level 6 on the Druid. So I said, we'll do Waterworks. And so that's what we did. We did them on hard. Yeah, and he really enjoyed all those quests, and I cannot believe that was the first time he has ever done the Waterworks. We did the Lost Seekers quest chain, which of course is Kobold's Den, and Venstrail. Didn't have really any major problems with those. He was on his wizard, so we had a wizard and a druid, and we were pretty much tearing through stuff. And I was in wolf form the whole time, and it was pretty fun. I always forget how fun my druid is too, because I don't play my druid a lot. So I'm gonna have to make a point to break out the old druid every now and again, because that's some fun times, gnawing people's face off with the wolf. And then other than that, in game, I will let you talk about what we did, as you always do. Out of game, I did my final prep session for the first session of the D&D pen and paper, which we are going to run on Friday. So next Monday, you will hear all about that. And either A, how stupidly lucky my party was, or how stupid they were, which I think it's going to be the latter, knowing my group of friends. So,
well, I thought for your party, it'll be both.
It probably will. It's more stupid than anything, but yeah, it's both. And then I started to take a look at the Fantasy Grounds software. I know we have talked about it a lot, and we report when Fantasy Grounds adds new Wizards of the Coast products and such. So I started to take a look at that, and I'm going to do some testing on that, and we're going to have a full review upcoming on the site at some point. It's probably not going to be for a while, because I want to make sure I get a handle on it. Because the first thing I've noticed about Fantasy Grounds is it has a huge leveling curve on it. It's not very user-friendly software. So once I grasp my head around it, I'll do a review to see if it's actually worth the money that they charge for it. And the only other thing I did that is kind of D&D related is a friend of mine talking about cartoons in the 80s, and he mentioned the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon. And I had completely forgot that I owned the DVD box set of the full series. So I watched that over the weekend, and I haven't seen that in years. And I forgot how amazingly awesome that cartoon was. Be it cheesy, but it was awesome.
All right. I guess I couldn't get past the cheesy bit because I don't recall ever watching it.
It just cracks me up every time when he's like, I am Dungeon Map. So yeah, if you haven't seen the 80s D&D cartoon, watch it. It's awesome. So what did we do this week, and then what did you do this week, finally?
All right, I'll begin with my level 17 Artificer with Drac, where we finished up the Druid's Deep with the Druid's Curse. think that one was pretty straightforward. The one that was really weird was the one we did after that, where we went into the 12 and ran Acute Delirium, and that quest was simply insane.
So you normally don't build an airship out of beds and bookcases, Pineleaf? Is that what you're saying?
No,
It was insane?
I don't recall ever doing that before.
Okay. Well, and as I told you when we were playing on Wednesday, if you think it's insane now, just wait. It gets much, much worse.
It gets weirder. This is like...
Zoriat is not known for their normal quest lines, Pineleaf.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that place in the Elder Scrolls, I think Shagarat or something like that, where they have this god of insanity, I guess, or something like that, and the quests there are just like that.
Yep.
So let's go to my ranger, my permadeath ranger, who was questing at level 4 and 5, where I was running the steam tunnels. So I was running the Sacred Helm, the Cloven Jaw Scourge for the blockade, and the Caverns of Shock, then went to the Halls of Chanticleer. And I have to tell you that Halls of Chanticleer is a whole lot easier when you're running with a ranger.
And what's that, just because you're like ranging people, or yeah?
Plink, 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 plink. And it helped that I actually at one point went and exchanged some of those collectibles for +1 monstrous humanoid arrows.
See, and now you know why when we play Wednesday, I'm always swapping different type of arrows out.
Right, because
now you understand.
Yeah, until you play a ranger, you really don't understand such things. And then I started my rogue, which is the final character for this series, and I was just doing the level 1 stuff since I finished up the ranger, so it's level 1 stuff. So I did Korthos Village from the Grotto all the way up to the Collaborator. So it's just trying to get used to the rogue, and at least with the rogue, I have to remember now, yes, I can now look for secret doors and have a chance of finding them. I can now look for traps and be able to disarm them instead of running headlong into the place. And I was halfway through the one with the Hayton's Rest, where I was thinking maybe it'd be a better idea if I just run in and attack this Wahagan the necromancer from behind and kill him that way rather than trying to shoot arrows at him, which is what I would do with the Rangers. With the Ranger, I just go in and shoot arrows at him and he's dead. But of course, it didn't work very well with the Rogue when I tried that on the first one.
Backstab is your friend, Pineleaf.
Yeah, backstab is your friend when you're playing a rogue. So getting used to the different mechanics of playing a rogue is what I'm doing right now. It's the first time also that I actually bothered to go into sneak mode.
Well, yeah, because you never really play rogues, so...
Yeah, I never really played rogues, and usually my sneak skill is so bad that the rare times I've ever tried it, I was about 3 miles away.
They're like, hey, you, why are you sneaking around? I see you!
And then I dusted off my rogue/warlock/druid, that character, and I only had time for 1 or 2 quests. I remember I did the Smuggler's Warehouse. I may have done another one and forgot to write it down. But it was just a quest or 2 in the harbor. And the idea there is that when I finish up with the rogue, I will be continuing with this character. So I just to make sure I don't forget how to use this character, since it's
a weird combination.
Yeah, it's a triple class. Well, for me, if we were just trying to run a triple class character.
Now, have you put much thought into this? Like, which one are you going to concentrate more on? Are you going to put more rogue levels in, or warlock levels, or druid levels?
Well, I haven't really put much serious thought onto that yet. We'll have to see what happens. I obviously need enough druid levels in order to make it an effective shapeshifter.
Because I'm telling you, shooting red fireballs out of your wolf's mouth is the coolest thing ever.
Well, they won't be red fireballs.
No, that's right, because you don't run in Fiend. That wasn't true.
Alright, if you would like to help support DDO players, you could go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on DDO Players News, or even be a guest host with us. And we did not receive any iTunes reviews, but we do have a featured comment from FuzzyDuck81, who left a question on, is Ravenloft coming to 5e?
Yes, please. Oh, sorry. He says, given that DDO tends to have at least some link with the ongoing D&D storylines, plus Severland's comments in the Q&A about Halloween for the next classic module adaptation. It being appropriate for that, I think this could potentially add a little weight to Ravenloft being the contender for what's next. And I agree that it really puts Ravenloft a little higher on the this is probably what's going to be coming category.
Yeah, right now I can't think of anything else that is a serious contender.
The only other thing I can think of would be Tomb Horrors.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't feel it for that.
Tomb of Horrors is going to be so hard for them to do, though, since Tomb is basically designed to kill people. I don't know.
Don't take your permadeath character.
Yeah,
there.
Exactly. Here's a hint: if you like your character, don't go to the tomb with it. So I don't know, but then part of me is like thinking with Ravenloft, if they actually do convert Ravenloft for DDO, I want a whole expansion. I want all of Ravenloft. I want all of Barovia. I want everything. I just don't want a quest that involves Strahd or something somehow. Maybe I'm just reading too much into what Severland said and what Chris Perkins said too. So we'll see.
We will see. If they did something, I suspect it'll wind up doing something similar to what they did with Elemental Evil. And that is, they don't know what plane this person is coming from.
It will definitely tie in with the whole Gatekeepers and the Mysterious Remnant and that whole storyline we have. So I can see how they would do Ravenloft. You know, how we could be transported. That I understand how they do it, but I'm just like, I want more. I want it all. I want more Strahd.
We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to email us, you could send it to podcast@ddoplayers.com. You could also follow us at Twitter, The Players Alliance, @PlayersAlly, DDO Players, @DDO Players, Draculetta, @Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf, @Pineleaf Newell. The Players Alliance has 4 live shows. Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. Every other Thursday at 9 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. And every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locho Players News. And every other Saturday after Locho Players News, we have Tales of the Free Folk. That is all for this week. You join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com, and this is Pineleaf Newell reminding you to quest responsibly.